So yeah, it was quite good that that cut off there. I was getting a little bit too into that. Um, but I genuinely think that that's what's going to happen. When there's storylines like that, like now, that it's usually the sole intention is for them to either ban that, like you think if all our biggest team, like I guess what you could the way that that could come good, right? No, I can't see a way of that coming good. I can't see a way of that coming good. And the only other thing then is, I guess, like what maybe happens is with everyone being broke, but seemingly having camera phones with like super cameras on, especially by that time, I would imagine what might happen is we you have people playing football amongst themselves again, and you have people that are into creativity or whatever that like filming it that aren't great players still want to be a part of it filming it. Do you know what I mean? And I would say that it would be much more for me. I would fucking way prefer. Like, can you imagine if you were watching Bellingham on roids after having a couple of beers before the game? Do you know what I mean? Having a half-time fag break and getting a bit tetchy in like the 40th minute because he's not had a cigarette since the morning because he wanted to protect his lungs. I think that sounds way more fun, but probably without the actual roids and maybe the couple of beers, you know. Roids probably isn't going to be protecting the football players' health, really, is it? But I think that that's maybe possible. Maybe. I mean, when you see videos of like people in Afghanistan and Brazil and shit, they always seem to be playing football. And these are countries that are like, I don't know quite why I don't know if England still perceives itself to be a first world country, but these are countries that they think of as third world, right? Whenever you see videos of like Africa, Afghanistan, South America, and like parts of South America and shit, it looks like they're fucking always playing. Kids are always playing football barefoot as well. Maybe that's why they're all so sick and we're not, because we wear shoes everywhere. Anyway, if you can maybe if you can learn to get such pinpoint accuracy with all the like shit poking through the skin of your foot, like the big fucking knuckles and bones coming. Like, do you know what I mean? Maybe if you can do that, then and having the ball sort of like leather your foot and running around on the ground on the soles of your bare soles of your feet, like on the boiling hot ground in countries like Brazil and Africa and shit as well. Maybe that really like makes your feet into right. So by the time you can afford boots and trainers, you're like super sick. Anyway, they always play with tennis balls as well, don't they? So that they get really good. So their accuracy gets better. Climate hero. Oh, that's what we got told in school anyway. Maybe climate hero villain. Rapidly adopts clean technologies while drilling furiously for oil and gas. The Nordic nation is a paradox. Well, you play both sides, don't you? A lot of people. I guess he chose to believe. I don't, I've spoken so much about climate shit. I don't know what there is to do about it. My views are it's so easy to just go, I'm not going to drive. I think that old people don't care because they think I hate this. I think that the old this is what happens. The older that you get, people go, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to die, and I hate people that much that I hope that they all die too. I think that that's what it is. I think that anybody above like 30 or and I think that the same reason that we hate, I think that the reasons that we hate each other are still all to do with our programming. But whatever. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. I posted a half truth joke. Obviously, I don't want people manipulated into being furries and whipped raw on Twitter, and it got on X and whatever, and I'm banned and I was forced to remove the comment. Yet, um, people can post videos of people getting shot in the head with a post underneath saying "fuck around or find out." The guy's just like walking down the street. Do you know what I mean? That's acceptable. Um, Gaza orphanage. I saw that storyline and I thought, okay, I don't, David Lynch, don't really care. Deadpool reviews average, which probably mean I mean I like comic book films, so hopefully that means it should be a little bit better. Hopefully that means it should be all right. I definitely watch it. Uh, Conservatives' racist and sexist attacks on Kamala Harris show exactly who they are. Listen, you know my opinions on racism and whatever. What I'm about to say is like I think that what a lot of black people do is they combat how much racism they feel. What I'm about to say is probably wrong because like you could listen to some of my comments and go, what an extremist piece of shit. But if you saw how, if you were experiencing how much I was getting tortured by police, churches, military intelligence, you would go, oh, okay, I understand why he's doing that. Do you know what I mean? So I did watch some of her videos, and I thought, I think I saw one white woman in that video for like a brief second, and one ginger white guy. Everybody else was black or heavily tanned, and I did think, hmm, is that like I think that that is I'm not clever clogs enough to know the term for this, but I think that that is some like really subtle racism. A subtle racism that like I know a lot of decent white people. I just know a hell of a lot of shit white people. But you know, if I was in Africa, I would imagine that I would be saying, I don't really know that many white people. I know of a lot of I know a lot of shit black people. I imagine that's what I would be saying. Like I keep saying to to people that paint me as like a, oh, you hate white people. No, I hate the oppression in my country. I hate the oppression of people in every country. My direct oppressors, the people who are stalking and harassing me online, in the street, everywhere I go, the people who have been doing that to me since I was like 7 years old, right? They're all white. So quite clearly my targets are white because I live in England and the people that have oppressed me are that colour of skin. But I would say conservatives, racist and sexist attacks. I mean, I want her to win because she's a, a black woman who is a woman. That's why I want her to win. You don't have female leaders. That America have a much bigger demographic of black and sort of Mexican people, non-white people, right? So if the demographic is much bigger for non-white people, however, shit like the bell curve and shit like you've got women going, well, no, because I just look at stats and black people are stupid or whatever, then like give them something to give them more people to aspire to that aren't rappers and drug dealers. You have a problem in you if you perceive the problem in your country is we're getting loads of Mexicans and black people and they're causing these problems, get it so that they don't cause problems. Don't have all of their media being drug dealers, drug dealers, drug dealers, drug dealers, murderers, 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 police officers, military guy, military. Do you know what I mean? Maybe have some politicians in there. Have some clever people. I don't know. Like I'm not a politician, am I? But like I would say that good role models. I would say that everybody learns from role models. I would say that getting kids involved in this with some like brat campaign, if that's what works, and they think that she's a brat, and they go into this and what they actually end up following is a really strong, independent woman, a strong woman that doesn't need to be independent, that can accept help from men and other women, but is the leader. Perfect. Do you know what I mean? However, I did watch her video and I did think a little bit, why are there no white people in that? And what I thought was, well, maybe she's going for and seeing all the like gay people and black people that are seeming and just people that seem to hate the political system saying I'm going to vote for Kamala. I think that that's really fucking good. I think that maybe she's going, maybe what she's doing now is she's trying to control from the underbelly. Like when I used to talk to all the KPs because all the chefs were being pricks to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't it was accidentally through my brain working like that. All of a sudden, then you're helping. All of a sudden, I'm giving my spare time to helping out the KPs and shit, and just going over there to talk to them and have a laugh with them when all the other chefs are just launching pots and pans at them. All of a sudden, when I'm not on shift, they don't work. Where's the KP? Oh, they're out smoking. What do you mean again? When I'm in there, they're busting their fucking ass. So all of a sudden, then the chefs have to be nice to me, or the KPs don't work for the chefs. Do you know what I mean? And then the chefs look shit on shift because the KPs aren't giving them aren't giving them their utensils and their pans and their pots back. And I would say that maybe that's what. And so all of a sudden, then the chefs have to start being. If your friends, all the commies and the CDPs and all the suit and everybody else is threatened by you, so they start trying to manipulate and fuck with you. If you've controlled the people around you, the people the same as you, not controlled, but like if you're just getting on with those people and you're doing for them, so they're doing for you, then all of a sudden the people at the top have to start being nice to you. And I just did that accidentally through just being a decent person. And then that's what starts happening. But I would say that hopefully that's she's doing something similar to that. Hopefully she's getting a bunch of people that won't vote to vote for her. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that gay people ever feel like they're what's the word? Represented. If they have a sassy woman, that's definitely like their queen. Do you know what I mean? Then you've got black people. Apparently, she's Jamaican Indian. So then you've got like all the. You've probably got Middle Eastern Arabic people that live in the US voting for her too. Black people voting, black men and women voting for her because black woman trumps white guy. Pardon the pun. But like she might be playing a really strong hand there. She might be going for all the people that won't vote, and then after that, going for after she's controlled all of those people, then she's more than likely, when she's in that position of strength, then going to start taking Trump's voters. So even if this is just a manipulation, if this is a complete manipulation, I think that they let them battle it out, but I think that they don't care who's going to win because they're going to pass the same laws and they're going to do the same things anyway. That's more than likely how it is. You look at like, or you get JFK'd, don't you? Um, Killed by police for asking their help. Why are people saying that she poured boiling water on them? Let me just read this. Quite frustratingly, it's not explaining the whole story. It's just giving you a snapshot of like what's happening at the end of the story. It's saying that she called the police for help with something, that they went into the house, shot her, and so I don't know why it's not funny. It's funny as in like I'm laughing, I guess, to cure what madness I'm reading in my brain. So like, and then and then they lied about it in a recording, saying that the wound was self-inflicted after knowing that they shot her. How crazy is that? But I keep seeing loads of things on Twitter saying she poured boiling water on them or something. Anyway, I don't know enough about that story to comment on either way, but violence against women is only getting worse. I would say that that's because a lot of men are still raised by people who are, a lot of men are raised in households where women shouldn't, where women don't talk back, and somebody raises their voice a little bit and they stop talking, right? So, like, they then go to school and they're around women who are allowed to do and say whatever they want. So then they're around women who are allowed to do and say whatever they want, and they get offended. And what they're taught at home is when I raise my voice, they stop talking. Do you know what I mean? I would say that that's exactly what's going on. I would say that violence against the women is on the rise because women don't are giving way less of a fuck, um, and they're uh, and that's exactly the problem. The problem is not Andrew Tate. I would say the problem is large sections of the UK population and the world are raised by men who might not beat their wives, but they raise their voice, and the women stop talking or shouting because as a child their dad shouted and then spanked them or physically hurt them or whatever, right? So they had that programmed into them that when they hear a raised voice, they're going to feel something that is going to be super overwhelming to them and shut them down or whatever. So now those kids are seeing that happen in their immediate life. They're going to school, and when girls are insulting them, they're saying, "Shut up, stop talking," and they're not shutting up and stopping talking. So they're hitting them. I guess that's more than likely what's going on. You know. Grenfell. It's so shit that I would say that that's not getting sort. I think that what they're going to uncover is massive failings to the poor. I think that what they're doing is they're trying to make it better for the poor. You know, there was a big thing where like people had to pay for a fire door here. I don't know what the purpose of this fire door is. Before I moved in, there was some sort of big uproar because everybody had to pay for a fire door that not everybody wanted. Seemingly, what it does is it makes it really loud when anybody leaves or enters the built a flat. That's what it seems like. I don't quite know how it's going to help a situation with a fire. I don't know how that door is going to. I think it's something to do with pressure, letting smoke. I've got no idea. But they're calling it a fire door, and I'm guessing that that's off the back of Grenfell. It's really weird. You don't know what you would do if there was a fire, I guess. Like, put a few sheets around you and run to the fire escape, I guess. What I don't understand is like how could back in the day you used to have like do you remember when you look at when you see in like America and stuff, like any sort of high-rise flat, they have like those fire escapes on the outside of the building, right, with like ladders that drop down. We don't have any of that. There's none of that here. Um, these trailblazing feminists maybe can't. What I thought was crazy with the Olympic thing, all I watched was that archer lighting the Olympic torch. Um, how is that like? Because it was cool, but what I kept thinking was, yo, what happens if he slips? What happens if some act of God, like a fucking, like asteroids and shit? Do you know what I mean? Like gold got to the earth and like metal ore and shit. Like what if like some fucking stray asteroid just drops, hits him on like the shoulder just as he pings it, and it just fires the arrow straight into somebody in the crowd. That would be crazy. That's what I was thinking when I was watching that. What happens if that arrow just hits a big group of people? But it looked cool as fuck, so if you can make it so that it's never going to hit somebody in the crowd, then that is some cool shit. Um, I'm not gonna lie though, I don't really care about the Olympics. I sort of wish I did, but I don't. Uh, James admits Fernandes' racist singing may cause problem for Chelsea. Yeah, it's like Argentina. Listen, no disrespect to any Argentinians. I think it's a cultural thing that one that like Italians and Spanish. I don't know if like the racial attacks. I don't know if the racial attacks are the same as in England and the US. Yet these are the countries which seem to be so anti. You can't say a single word. I've been saying for like 25 years that I think what's going to be better than banning words is getting people to be okay with them. And also getting people to not have malicious intent with regard to racism. Do you know what I mean? Like exactly what I said. I don't know, what is if you can get people to, if they want to make jokes about the color of someone's skin, if you can get them to not hate the person when they're doing that, and if you can get the person having the jokes about the color of their skin to feel accepted into the society, you know, but because I worked with an Australian guy who one day turned to me and said, "Hey." He just turned to me and said, "Hey, that guy over there, he got left out in the sun too long, hey?" I was like, "What?" That was because he was cool, he was a cool head chef, man. I like the guy, but when he turned and said that to me, I thought like that's such like something that like a 4-year-old would say. Do you know what I mean? Thought like what? It just didn't sound like something that would come out of a fully grown person's mouth. And I guess like if I laughed or like laughing then is because it's like such an abstract thing to say. It's the equivalent of somebody just going like poopy poopy bumhole. Do you know what I mean? It's like what? This is crazy. That's so crazy. And you would think that, and it's not like white people seem to be able to cope with it, is it? Looking at all the Tommy Robinson shit, I would say that white people can't cope with people praying to a different God when they're not even religious. You know, so like I don't know I don't know quite like what the I don't quite know if it's fair for Chelsea players to not like him because uninhibited racism. I haven't heard the song. If it's saying like go and hang the black players or something, that's not cool, but I don't know, man. I think there's just a lot of cultural shit that like it's funny, isn't it? In England, like Wesley Fofana, we do basically say like, oh, you should be um like somebody's. I was reading about like the male dress, the things that men have to adhere to with dress codes as well as women, and I was thinking makes you not quite think of what they do to putting women in face masks as the same, right? Do you know what I mean? When somebody goes, well, we also have to wear like a strict code of clothing, you go, I get that, but I think that shielding a woman's face, I don't know if that's like, I still think that that's super, I still think that that's super fucked up. And we accept that, do you know what I mean? People or for me personally, I accept it as in like, if you're a woman and you're saying to me, it's my choice and this is what I do, who am I to like, I'm just saying that I wouldn't ever want my daughter to adhere to a concept like that. Do you know what I mean? Much the same as when I hear about girls going like they want to be like tied up and handcuffed and pissed on in like a little fucking and drink piss out of a dog bowl and shit. Like I think I don't whilst being pulverized by a metallic vibrating dildo that's as long as your forearm. I think I don't know. That seems like societal issues there. Do you know what I mean? That seems like issues with society. I would not want a daughter to be getting into that. Do you know what I mean? I would not want a daughter to want to be tied up and blindfolded, drinking piss out of a dog bowl whilst having a metal vibrator as long as someone's forearm strapped inside them, vibrating and thrusting back and forth. I don't want women in general to want that. It's a crazy concept. I don't want people to be tortured. Do you know what I mean? It's madness. However, like, yeah, you know. So I would think that what some like Australian team is doing something that they think is funny. You know, if they do that shit to you, then maybe say, I don't find that funny. I don't, I like, yeah, because I guess, like we've been talking about, there is no humor really, is there? Like, it's just a weapon. And this is my opinion on the France team, like because all I'm seeing on the White Power websites is like France team in quotation marks, and like every player's black apart from like three of them, which I did think that that was quite strange. Now, like what you could think of that is that France went around the world colonizing so many different countries in Africa and the Middle East, in fucking Asia, same as England, right? We just don't talk about it as much because we're English, so we talk about our colonizing. We don't so much talk about the colonizing of China, of Mongolia, of France, of Italy. Like, well, we talk about the Roman Empire, I guess, but we don't talk. I think it's because we don't want to big up our rivals. That's what it would seemingly be. Do you know what I mean? Like, um, it's so funny, isn't it? Like how we perceive like Italy. Yeah, what you would think is that they accumulated so much money that they accumulated so much money and power and like the control of religion that they then just went. You speak to Italian people or speak to my family and like they don't really care about religion and shit. They might wear like a crucifix or something, but like they don't really care about that shit. What they care about is that they're from a country that has tons of sunshine and that the food tastes amazing. That's mainly what Italian people talk about. The food is so fucking good, the weather is so fucking good. And you think that maybe they are so blessed to have had a place where they built up so much power and they went, why do we need all this power? We're not concentrating on Roman people, we're not concentrating on Italian people. Do you know what I mean? And then when they went, let's focus on Roman people, let's focus on Italian people, let's focus on Neapolitan people, let's focus on Sicilians, let's focus on all the other regions, like the north of like what Milanese, whatever. Like you think that if they wanted to, that by focusing on their people and their people just went, we just want good weather and good food. Do you know what I mean? We don't want war, we don't want to go to war. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. We just want good weather and good food. Do you know what I mean? And you think that they're blessed to be in a place where they actually just have good weather and good food. I almost don't want to use the term blessed because it indicates religious shit, but like, and I genuinely think that that is a large problem with the UK. We don't have weather, and we don't have weather and food. That's why we're all so miserable. Anyway, the France team. So, like, what my opinion is that maybe through all their colonization, they went, well, we went over to those countries, and we basically what colonization is they went over to those countries and they said, you're now French. And what that meant is that those people could then actually move to France, and they did in droves. In like I don't know when there was a big influx of Arabs, but I know that in like the 50s, 60s, it was a hard time for them, and there was I don't know enough about French history to know like quite if that's when there was a real integration that started to happen. Um, But like what you would think is that that sole that the sole the sole reason for that team being like that is because they went to countries and said, "You're now French." So then the people in those countries moved to France and went, "We're French, so we can live here." And then the French FA or went, "These people are better at football." Do you know what I mean? That seems as simple as you can make it for me. And like I keep saying to this girl who's keeps saying I'm an anti-white person, like if you're I'm mainly attracted to white women, so I'm gonna sleep with white women, right? Because that's if I'm on Tinder, 96% of my likes are going to be for white women, for white women. Like they just are. I've been on dates with Asian women, but like and I've slept with black women, but like the majority of my likes are going to be for white women, right? So you just differentiate that way. If white players aren't as good as the black players, then like I don't know, put some investment in making them fucking better players. Do you know what I mean? Like if they're not the best players, they're not the best players. There isn't really anything else to it. That you went over to their country and said that they were French. Now they're living in France saying that they're French. And that's as simple as that gets. Uh, so I think that that is um, sadistic and manipulative Expandel ballet singer. That seems like something that can't exist. How can you be in a band called Spandau Ballet and sadistic and manipulative? Um, okay, motorists still being overcharged for fuel. Yeah, I was thinking. I don't really care. Everything else there. NatWest takes 24 million hit from from abandoned Tell Sid style campaign. I don't really care. I'm glad that they took a big hit. Hopefully, that meant that they paid the creative industry to make something for them and paid a bunch of people money that the bank had made in profit off people and paid it back to them. Um, can't see anything else interesting there, really. Well, there's a lot. Yeah, the rest of them on the Guardian's website are sort of opinion pieces, and like sometimes they're great, but I do fall short. Like I don't sometimes they're funny and interesting and they get me to read those people's books, but a lot of the Guardian's content creators on those opinion pieces these days, I think uh, I look at their pictures and who they're portraying themselves as, and I think I don't want to read anything about that. I look at the headline and I look at what they're. This is what I'm talking about with like Labour and liberalism. Like Like I see myself as liberal, and I look at so many of the people, and I go, "That's not identifying with me." Why? And I guess this is why, like, and then you get the labeling liberal people calling me like a Tory and shit, and I'm like, what? What the fuck are you on about? I've been getting in arguments with Tories and saying that I think that we should base shit on communism for like 10, 15, for like 20 years now. What are you talking about? Fucking madness. Like absolute madness. Um, what's the other one? It's the Tory rag, BBC. Tory rag, monkey rag, really. So did the Arsenal attacks and the Arsenal attacks. Um, rapist who threw it. Why is every story now rapist, paedophile? They're not getting views, right? Maybe. Um, they're not getting views and they know that they are getting views. I just think it's crazy for the BBC to have allowed Jimmy Savile to be raping children for 20, 30 years, to be trying to play it off like they give a fuck about the rape of children. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's an actual joke. Do you know what I mean? Like, how the fuck are they talking about rapists and paedophiles? Like, this is the BBC. They're saying rapist like it's an insult. This is the BBC. They allowed Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, multiple others. They had people going on chat shows saying, "Yeah, I mean, well, fuck Jimmy Savile. He's fucking nonce." In the 70s, right? They did nothing about it. You know why they did nothing about it? Because the man would have turned rat, and he would have dragged down so many people that they couldn't have dragged down. That's why. Um, the man. I don't know if you can call somebody like that a man. Jimmy Savile, like, probably would have ratted. That's probably why they didn't do anything. They probably couldn't kill him because he probably spread too much information to people. He probably spread too much information to people where he said, if I die, they're going to say this, right? If I die, it's going to be suspicious circumstances. They're going to have murdered me. And they more than likely couldn't have had him arrested. The police wouldn't have arrested him because of who he would have talked about in the royal family. That's straight up what happened there. I don't understand how we spend any time listening to the BBC, giving any of their presenters time, giving any of their newspaper stories time. You know, I've got people in my life, right, that are going, you shouldn't wear a France top. It's a symbol of the slave. It's a symbol of the slavery that we all face. You shouldn't read BBC News because of the things that I'm talking about. You know why I can read BBC News? Because I look at stories like that and I go fuck yourself, BBC. Do you know what I mean? If I invest my time in their time, then I can 100% tell you what their problem is. I can talk about what the problem is with what they're doing to people. I think it's utterly disgusting that they are still a news society when we know that one of their top ranking officials, they protected until up to 10 years ago. What are we saying? They're like, oh, they were protecting paedophiles and rapists up until 10 years ago, and now they don't. Now they're a changed person. They're a whole changed industry, the BBC. Yeah, as soon as Savile, that presenter of Top of the Pops, who seemed like he was a little bit demented. Yet as soon as that guy died, all the evil stopped there. Fuck off. You chat absolute fucking shit. Rapist who threw victim's brother off cliff, jailed. You are a fucking conglomerate of rapists and fucking paedophiles. Led by a rapist, paedophile, murderer, thieving piece of shit. Fuck out of here, man. Uh, Met police officer admits stealing from dying man. Yeah, I mean, it's what they're doing to me. I mean, of course, they would rob dead bodies. I imagine the police have been doing that for time. Do you know what I mean? Shoot someone dead, cause them to commit suicide, and then rifle through their wallets or like make some fucking dodgy bank transfers. And then if the family of the deceased say anything about it, then stalk, harass, and murder and manipulate them and their family and target all of their weak. I think that is exactly what they would do. Uh, Shout out to Katie though for winning a match that only 7-year-old girls give a fuck about. By the way, like you should go and look at CIA operatives that are women. They do not want what is best for women. They work for an industry that empowers men. They are using women so that they can manipulate more women into fucked up situations for not obeying men. Stop thinking that that indicates some sort of power or feminism being a strong female officer. It does not. Uh, like just go back through history and look at like outed CIA spies that were women and what their intentions were by trying to spread uh, women going into porn and prostitution. It wasn't to strengthen them as people. Um, one sec. Let me see if there's anything interesting here. Vehicle drives through intense wildfire in California. I want to see that, but it's just going to be frivolous crap. I'm probably going to see that shit 50 times over on social media today, so I don't see a point. Man jailed for murdering larger and cutting up body. Crazy. Murder arrest after man shot dead in field. Hmm. I'm seeing a rise in violence. I'm seeing a rise in murder. I'm seeing Russians not able to being banned from trading and doing biz and kicked out of the country like Roman Abramovich. I'm seeing Muslims having their heads stomped on and potential riots. Uh, I don't know if stuff was this crazy 20 years ago, you know. Uh, I think that something big is coming in the next like 5, 10 years. Inevitably, people do pop, you know. So I know that everybody's saying it, and I know that that sounds like scaremongering. I know that like we constantly go, they're scaremongering, they're scaremongering. Like, yeah, sometimes they're scaremongering so that people calm down. But like sometimes like they're scaring people so that they calm down because they know that if people don't calm down, there's a really viable threat. Uh, yeah, I mean I've been through all the top 10 stories. I'm not allowed to go on X today, so probably not allowed to post anything apparently. So Mick Jagger's trending. What's Mick Jagger trending? He's not dead, is he? No. Happy 81st birthday. Fair play, yeah, he made some decent music. Happy birthday, Mick Jagger. Yeah, alright, well, I guess that's everything.